Hello violin players, welcome to Pro Strings. I'm Henriette and in this lesson we're learning the B-flat major scale as it's set for grade 2. Now in this lesson you'll be learning the scale completely from scratch. So if you have never done this before, come and join me and you'll learn it. And by the end of the video I'm hoping that you will be able to play it as well as you'll play it in your grade exam. So with all the notes perfectly in tune, with nice expression and a really fluent way of playing it. So come and join me if that is what you want to achieve. Now when we look at the B-flat major scale in our scale book, we can see that we have two flats, and in this scale you've got a B-flat and an E-flat. So let's just first go through the letter names of the notes to see if we can find out exactly where these B-flats and E-flats appear in your music. So the first note is this B-flat. So when we play this note, you want to just practice this. And it is a close second finger, which is close to the first finger. So there's our first B-flat. Then we've got a C and a D, and then we hit the E-flat, our first E-flat of the day. And that E-flat is a first finger pulled back on the D string. You see? Then after E-flat we get F, G, A, and here's our B-flat. First finger on the A string is a B-flat. Then we get C, D, E-flat, so we've got a fourth finger here on the A string. Then we've got F, and remarkably this is also a first finger which is pulled back. Then G, then A, and a B-flat. So coming to think of all the fingers that we've just identified, we have got a low first finger on the D string, a low first finger on the A string, and a low first finger on the E string as well. In a way that makes our life easier because all three first fingers are sort of across the strings from one another in the same place. Now in this piece we are playing all the second fingers low, but because we have pulled our first fingers back, there is actually a gap between the first and second fingers. Because our second fingers are low, there's also a gap for the third fingers. So I have nicknamed this scale the scale with two gaps, because you can see that there is a gap between the first and second fingers and also a gap between the second and third fingers, the scale with two gaps. Then when we play on the A and E strings, we've got our low fourth fingers. So that is our pattern both on A and E, with the two gaps between the first and second fingers and the second and third fingers, but also a low fourth finger on the A and E strings. Now the one thing that we need to bear in mind when we play this, whilst we play low first fingers on all of the strings, is that when we test our first note, the B-flat at the start, we are playing a normal first finger in our test. You see? And from here on, all our next first fingers that are following on the D string, the A string and the E string are pulled back into their lower position. Right, if you've got all that, let's go and get started. Let's just explore our notes right now. So test your fingers. Here we go. Here's our B-flat. E-flat now, low fourth finger. And again low fourth finger. Low fourth finger. Wow, that's your first first start of your B flat major scale. That is really, really clever playing. Let's play this with accompaniment now. And we're going to play each note twice with long bows. So you've got plenty of time to adjust your fingers should you find that it's not quite matching with the accompaniment. Test your second finger at the start. Here we go. 1 and 2 and. That is really very clever playing, because this is not so easy to do, and you're doing great. In a moment we're going to play it again with the accompaniment, but let's think first, before we do that, about where we can improve. So it may be that you've forgotten to lower your first finger, or it may be that you have forgotten to play the fourth finger on the A string. So let's identify one thing that you're going to improve on this next playing, and that might be different for everyone joining us here. Quite a nice thought that different people may be practicing different things now. So once you're ready, let's test your first note of your scale, and off we go. 1 and 2 and. Super work. So this scale is quite a test in concentration as well as violin technique, isn't it? And you're doing great, practicing your concentration at the same time as practicing your scale. And being able to concentrate for longer periods of time is a great skill that you're going to need in your grade exam scale component, you see, because there's a lot of different scales that need your full attention. So well done for practicing that. Now I'm hoping that by now you know this scale more or less off by heart. We've played it a couple of times, so I would like to progress now by playing it in the rhythm that's required in your exam. But if you haven't quite managed at this point to play this scale off by heart, please restart this video and do it a few more times over before you move on, because I do assume now that you will know it off by heart. So let's move on and let's play it as it's printed and without accompaniment. Here we go. 1 and 2 and... Wow, that was brilliant. That is a big step up suddenly, isn't it? So if you didn't quite make it, that's totally fine. You'll get lots of opportunity to play it again. Now on our next playing, we're going to consider our bowing, and we're going to think about starting with a long bow, then playing the quavers that follow, or the eighth notes that follow on the upper half of the bow, then a whole bow again for the crotchet or the quarter note, and then the next set of quavers or eighth notes will be at the lower half of the bow. So structure your bowing on this next playing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Fantastic, really well done. Now this next playing, we're going to play a crescendo to the top note and really polish your notes so that you play with the best quality sound that you've ever made. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Amazing playing, very well done. Next up we're going to slur our notes, and when you slur it you can look at your slurring example if you need reminding in your book. We're slurring the quaver notes, so the eighth notes 2 by 2. So every crotchet note remains a separate bow, but the quavers go 2 and 2 together. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and... Wow, well done. Very good. Now, you may have noticed that every time you slur, you have a string crossing in the middle of the slur here. And we're going to look after these string crossings by just sticking to them a couple of times. And in fact, we're going to play that same slur 3 times over, and I'll show you what I mean. Like this. See, here is a string crossing. So we'll repeat it. And once more. And now we're back in the right. And now we've got our normal bowing back. See, here's another one. One more time. Here comes my next string crossing. There's one. One more time. Here's another one. One more time. And the final one. And practice that again. One more time. And I want you to become really aware of where these string crossings are so that you can look after them in your playing, you see. I'm playing every string crossing 3 times over so that my overall bowing stays the same. If I were to do that only twice, I would go against the grain with my bowing, you see. So that's why I'm repeating it and playing it 3 times. Let's play that one more time without stopping this time, okay? This is our final playing, so we're going to put it all together. You're going to look after your string crossings, play crescendo to the top, and generally play your best ever sound. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and... Awesome, and you've got so much better at playing your B flat major scale. Well done, congratulations on achieving your goal here. As usual, at the end of the video, we will just recap the previous couple of scales that we've done. So let's now play a G major arpeggio. Can you still remember the G major arpeggio? Think of your letter names first. Have you got those? 2, 3. And can you remember an A major arpeggio? 1, 2, 3. Let's play that B flat major scale slurred, shall we? Have a think. And let's play a G major scale, separate bows. awesome playing. If you didn't quite make it, it's okay. This is a process and you learn it as you go along. So maybe tomorrow you can watch this video again and you'll have better luck. So it's okay, don't despair please if you find this very difficult, because that is what it is. Our final playing is an A major scale slurred. Think about your finger pattern before you start. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and awesome playing, everyone. Very well done. Thanks very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video, which will be about the B flat major arpeggio. Goodbye.